And good morning, good afternoon. Appreciate everybody's attendance. We have here from Artel a few of my colleagues, Richard Bell, our VP of Engineering, Rafael Fonseca, our VP of Product Management and Marketing, and Andrew Slayton, our National Accounts Manager, handles some of our bigger telco accounts. So we have a lot of areas within Artel covered, so we should be able to address all your questions. I'm going to let my colleagues, please feel free to first mute your microphone so we don't get any extra feedback, and that would be great. Please feel free. There is a chat box that you could open up and post any questions you may have, and I'm going to let my colleagues, Andy, Raf, and Richard address those as they come. If you do want to also ask a question, feel free to interlude as well. If you don't want to type, if you think it's something everybody else may like to know, that is all good. Feel free to raise your hand or tap, and we can answer any questions. So the main focus of this presentation is on really our newest platform, what we call our smart media platform, that takes different SD, HD, 3G, even ASI, depending on the version, as well as IP, and encapsulates that into SMPTE 2022, and as well as J2K, and we're looking at other standards, and I want to get everybody updated on all of the upcoming features and functions that we are about to introduce on our smart that we may not have mentioned before. But for those that are not familiar, I know there's a few folks on the call, again, thank you, that are not as intimately familiar with Artel as others. So for those that know this, please bear with me. Artel Video was founded back in 1981. We are based just outside of Boston, Massachusetts, in a town called Westford, Mass. Everything is US designed, developed, manufactured. I say that while Richard's on the phone from UK. We do some engineering in the UK, but all of our engineering, manufacturing support is done out of all of our corporate offices. Raphael is based in our Westford offices. We do have multiple locations. I'm based in Tampa, Florida. My colleague Andrew is in Denver, Colorado. We also have another colleague in Arizona, and Richard being based in the UK. We are an employee-owned company that's called an ESOP here in the US. So everybody having shares in the company, we feel that gives us all a great commitment to the company from all different aspects of quality, innovation, customer support. We have lots of very open and honest sharing conversations to get everybody's input. I hear some binging, so other people are joining, and welcome and thank you. And for those that don't know, I'm Paul Seiden, Director of International Sales for Artel Video. Thank you for joining and learning more about our company and mainly about our smart platform. Artel has also been a pioneer in media delivery solutions, one of the first organizations back in the 80s just to go to do analog video over dark fiber. Our main products are really allowing you to multiplex multiple SDs, HDs, 3Gs over single strands of fiber. And I'll show some of those different platforms momentarily. Our customers are global and varied. Most everybody that's on this call from around the world, we have a variety of different installations in probably 80 plus countries. I'm losing track overall. Mainly telecommunications has been early on has been the main clientele for Artel Video. We've grown into traditional broadcasters, private enterprises, a lot of government agencies where fiber is a requirement. And now with some of our Quara PTP switch and other product lines, we're also more into other audio platforms, opera houses, music halls. You can see from some of the logos the variety of customers we have, from large sports companies like Fox Sports to AT&T, Verizon. We've done installations in Bezek in Israel, China Unicom, China Telecom, Arkiva. As you can see here, not trying to be too political, the White House in the US. We are really delivering video media transport for lots of different live events, local news, international sports, political events. We've done a lot of the political debates. We've done a lot of the different celebrity events like the Oscars and Academy Awards. We have product in most every Major League Baseball stadium, hockey stadium, NFL football stadium, where maybe even remote broadcasts and communications are used. As you can see here, we highlight live events and critical mission hours as well, and how many different IP media products or installations we have deployed over the years. And we are proud to say we have had 0 failures for these live critical events. Our products, for the most part, and even the Smart, is really designed to be carrier grade, and we have certain certifications called NEBS, for network electronic building systems, that really talks about fan flow, power load sharing, and hundreds of other different standards to make sure that anything that happens within our carrier grade products does not affect other products in the network. And when we're talking about live events, here's a sample of some of the live events. We've done Super Bowls, Olympics, again, different sports events, the Oscars, different political conventions, as well as when the Pope visited the U.S. So in the U.S., it may be a little different than other parts of the world, as I'm learning, where in the U.S., most of the telcos own and the cable companies own the fiber, and they choose which products get put on the fiber through their testing labs, and that's one of the NEB certifications. So we're not the glitzy products that's in the master control room. A lot of times our product is buried in the basement and giving you that transport, and a lot of the video feeds that you'll see are really being transported through and over our TEL product line. Our products are in the White House. Again, not trying to make the political statement, but any press conference that comes out of the White House it's owned by Verizon Fiber that goes to their network operations center, and then the hundreds of different media outlets from there take that and transport that around the world, and same for many other events around the world. And then what we are responding to, of course, is the migration to media over IP. That is really what everybody's been hearing about from SMPTE 2022 to 2110. AIMS, we're very big in interoperability. You're going to hear us talk, and we've done a lot of press releases that my colleague Raphael's put together talking about interoperability with other manufacturers' products. In the case of IP, different gateways, different switches, support of all different types of media over fiber. We've done a lot of greenfield as well as hybrid applications, trying to keep things very simple from an operations point of view. All of our products that are deployed for IP and our long distance products are very simple to operate with our own internal GUIs. And they are, again, designed for mission critical applications. We do have a lot of critical military, Kennedy Space Center, using products where failures are unacceptable. And this is a brief overview of the different product lines that we offer. Our DigiLink and InfinityLink chassis, as you can see there, are data center grade, mission critical, fiber and IP media base. This is where our smart platform products would be deployed in one of these chassis, which we'll get into. Our Quara is our PTP, which is becoming precision time protocol, becoming very popular these days. That's probably been one of the top products I've also been speaking about besides our smart during this COVID time. And we have some customers online that have deployed our Quara PTP switches in the past and from different TV stations, radio stations, opera houses, et cetera, around the world. And then our FiberLink product line, I come originally from the organization that developed the FiberLink product line, Communication Specialties, and Artel acquired Communication Specialties about 5 years ago. So Artel has grown organically as well as through acquisition. So about 5 years ago, I joined Artel through the acquisition of the FiberLink product line, also our scan converters, and then Quara was acquired from a company that Richard Bell, our VP of Engineering, used to work at in the UK, called ARG. So we've done quite a bit of growth over the last 5 years between acquisition again and our own organic growth. And I'll pause for a moment just to get a sip of water. Excuse me, and thank you. And we're here again to focus on our smart media delivery platform. That is the card that you see there. We have been awarded an IABM award back at IBC a few years ago. I've been finalist at NAB and another IABM nominee as well for the product. One of the main reasons we've been nominated and won the awards is because we've done something very unique within the Smart platform, where we've included a layer 2-3 switching and routing engine. So in essence, if you do need to have maybe a small network and don't want to deploy any other external switches in your network, we'll be able to handle all that within our Smart platform. It supports SMPTE 2022. As I mentioned, interoperability is very important. We've done a lot of interoperability testing with other manufacturers for SMPTE 2022, which it would be more uncompressed video, as well as J2K compression, meeting the TR01 VSF forum standards. A lot of the benefits, as you can see listed here, in essence, you deploy the hardware once and you change the functions with the software. We have a couple of very large FPGAs within the device, so you could have multiple profiles that run on the Smart, and as we release new technology, whether it's supporting 12G, single stream, then that will easily be able to be upgraded through our FPGA, and you will not have to deploy new hardware. Again, this is a bridge for SDI up to 3G SDI, as well as native IP implementations. Like all products that are in the switching network, we have QoS, VLAN tagging, traffic management. It is supported. This is just some of the names, acronyms for some of our chassis, and our DigiLink DLs for our DigiLink chassis platform, up to 12 slots in our 4360, and then our 4000 and IL6000 are a 4-slot chassis. Some of the chassis have what we call backplane switching, which is very useful. We have some clients on the line that use the backplane switching, where you could ingest multiple video signals and then through the backplane, through our GUI, choose which SDIs you want to send to the different cards within the chassis. And again, you could, within our chassis, you can intermix dark fiber transport as well as IP transport. So that's a nice advantage for some of our chassis, all of our chassis as well. So again, we're talking about seamless designs for IP without any external elements, as I mentioned, with our layer 2-3 switch. And again, this really is a carrier grade device. It has been tested to run 24/7, 365. We have many of our IP products deployed without failure for a number of years now. So to break down the architecture of our Smart platform, it's really a 2-card module, as you can see there. The base card is our SDI card that'll take SDI, ASI, 4 ports, as you can see there. The nice thing about our card as well is that each of the ports you could ingest different formats from, again, ASI to SD, HD, 3G. You actually control each video port independently. And then our top board is what we call our layer 2-3 switching IT card that has 4, we'll call them Ethernet service ports, that right now are enabled for 1 gig transports. And it is generic IT 1 gig. So in some cases, we use our Quora to put AES67 audio through those ports. We have other products that can take ASI and convert it to a 1 gig IP. So in essence, you can get multiple ASIs or even SDIs even through those Ethernet ports. We are looking at ways to take those 1 gig ports. As you can see, I have 10G capable with a little asterisk. That's for a future release. We're looking at upgrading those ports to 10 gig. And also our Ethernet trunks. Right now, they will support either 10 gig or 1 gig, depending on your network infrastructure. As you can see in the red, talking about the upper card, we do have a 120 gig Ethernet switch. So that's giving us some of the flexibility to increase the bandwidth of the Ethernet ports and even the trunk ports moving forward. Our lower card is, again, the video card, and it talks about, our clocking and our signal complex, and then our programmable protocol. That's where we can upload in our FPGA the different SMPTE 2022, J2K, looking at JPEG XS. We're looking at TICO, looking at a lot of different formats, and it'd be great to hear back what you're hearing from your clients. Please just put a post in the chat box. And just to break down specifically here, our uncompressed 2022 complex. So again, we have 4 uncompressed video channels. They are all independently configurable. You could actually also do bandwidth limitations. So if you're a telco, which we do with some of our telcos, maybe they're charging a customer for just HD SDI transport. They could actually click a box, and I'll show it later. I have some snapshots of our GUI to turn off the 3G capability so somebody's not able to put in a bandwidth or a format that they're not paying for if this is going to be put on maybe on a rental or chargeable network. It is auto sensing, so whatever you put in is auto sense, so you don't have to force that. It conforms to all the SMPTE standards, including -7, which is hitless switching. And just to note, on our website, we have a great white paper that we put together between Raphael and Richard and some of our engineers talking about hitless switching and, and how that works. Happy to answer any questions about that as well. The hitless switching is great. It really was probably deployed for the first time by ESPN during the 2014 Rio de Janeiro Olympics, where they went from Rio up to Bristol, Connecticut, and the biggest challenge for them was to find 2 completely redundant networks between those 2 locations, but you don't want any nodes, any switches to overlap. We do support forward error correction. Some of you may be familiar with that, so that's why we say ASI SDI with FEC is forward error correction. We do fully support all unicast, multicast, IGMP support, VLAN tagging, service and carrier S&C filtering as well. So everything that you would expect in a traditional IP transport, all those functions are there. For our J2K version, again, it's the same card, just the FPGA license changes. It conforms to the VSF TR01 standard. Again, you have the same 4 video inputs. It is the auto sensing, the same unicast, multicast. Again, with the trunk ports, we also do we'll get into, I have another slide that talks about the compression ratios and rates that we can support. And again, that's all independently selected, and I could show that on some of the screenshots. We do support standard and jumbo frames. That's important for some of our telco customers. I mentioned bandwidth management. So we have the bandwidth management actually even for the IP ports as well. You can configure what the trunk and IP ports, how much bandwidth you want going through, as well as the video ports. And Class 7, 2022-7, which is the hitless switching, we work with all of the different Class A, B, and C, which talks about the different SKUs, and that really is related to the distance, whether you're going from maybe New York to Boston or from London to Australia. You'll get a little different SKU on the network, and we support all Class A, B, and C for the different SKUs that may be going through hitless switching. We do explain that a little bit more detail if you'd like to understand that better in our hitless switching white paper, again, available on our website. Again, extensive VLAN tagging, QoS, data delivery, everything that you would want through an IP network we support for J2K, as well as really for our uncompressed 2022. These are the different video formats that we support, all the traditional broadcast video formats. We do have the ability to support other formats. So the beauty of being a small business as well is if somebody comes to us and says, Paul, we kind of have an industrial machine that's outputting 1080i at a different frame rate, I'm sure that Richard and his team would be able to reprogram our FPGAs for support of that. We do have all of the audio support, the audio PIDs. Again, I have a screenshot showing that. As you can see for SD, HD, 3G, how many pairs of audio embedding that we would support. And then for J2K compression, which is important, the different encoding rates. As you can see, for SD and HD, we can go compress as high as 70 down, as low as 75 megabit. Or if you don't want as much compression, it can go up to 200 megabit. For 3G inputs, down to 100 megabit or as high as 400 megabit. I'm always a fan. I've been in video my whole life. It's in the eye of the beholder. What video format you find better. I've heard different people say, oh, for HD, 100 megabit is a sweet spot. For 3G, 200 megabits a sweet spot. It really depends on how many feeds you have and your network and what you're trying to put down. I've heard of a network in Europe where they had a 1 gig network and they wanted to have 10 stadiums connected on a 1 gig network. So they really wanted to get down on HD down to really below 100 megabit, but you have to leave some room, some headroom as well in your transport if you have any forward error correction and any other latency that may be within your networks and switches. So, you really need to be careful. Those numbers are there, but again, if you add forward error correction, you have to leave a little extra headroom. Of course, with J2K, ancillary data is a big conversation. Also for 2022, we do support all of the closed captioning standards, teletext, time code, all the ancillary data is passed through our device. Our IT complex, again, the upper board, as I mentioned before, we do support standard and jumbo frames, and these are some of the standards that they talk about, the MTUs, for those that are familiar with that. We do have the bandwidth limiting and management, so you could actually enable, disable the ports as well, and I have a screen that shows that coming up. Again, all the VLAN tagging that you may need, single tag, double tag, outer service tags. And again, through our trunk ports, you have the ability, the trunk ports are set for 10 gig or 1 gig. They are SFP or SFP plus sockets. I mentioned about our hitless switching with Dash 7. And then also in the future, we're looking at, for people that may want to do 12G uncompressed or just want more bandwidth going down, a single trunk, we're looking at basically taking our trunks, our two 10 gig trunks, and making them serial for a capacity of 20 gig overall, and possibly even higher. Pardon me. Some of the competitive features that we found in looking at other competitive products, because we've done some interop testing, as I mentioned, with other manufacturers' products, at some of them at some of the standards committees that do different interop testing. So we've gone there with other manufacturers to do interop testing. The prioritization of traffic is very important, and how you tag the video, the control and the data through this. So we have the full bandwidth policing, as I mentioned, all of the ID flows, and you can set flow priorities as well. Maybe you'll find out that some signals are more important than others depending on your project and, again, your customer. Very simple configuration. Of course, we have all of our MIBs for the SNMP capabilities for our products. And we could also, through our service and support team, we could remotely upgrade your smart with new profiles, or of course, it could be done through a local software download. Our software is sold as permanent licenses. I've been asked about temporary licenses, and we are considering that for the future, maybe for those portability, OB truck, rental staging markets, where maybe today they want a J2K license for some projects, and then in other times they want it uncompressed. So we are considering that as an option. If you feel that's beneficial, please let us know. And then through our management port, if you have multiple profiles that you're paying multiple licenses, I'll show you how simple that is to change the function of the card. While I'm here, I also, on this page, I do want to talk about some new features. Some people online here have participated in prior smart webinars I've done, maybe in the APAC region. This is focused more in EMEA. But we are very, very close to releasing Genlock capabilities for our smart, which has really come up and been very important in the broadcast market, where we could synchronize. Right now, our outputs of our decoder for J2K would be asynchronous. But now with the Genlock, the outputs of our J2K compress will be synchronous, which is of course very important if you're going to do quad 3G and you want that for quad 3G or /4K, where you want those outputs to be synchronized. So that is imminently being released as a function, and that again would be a simple firmware upgrade. We are also looking at something called in-band management. So right now we do have through our chassis a separate management port and feature to control all of our products, but we do have some customers that would like the management to be over the same network. So that's not quite ready for release yet, but we are already working on in-band management capabilities for a specific customer. And then people will ask about different formats for compression moving forward. We are looking at JPEG XS as a future product release as well. People have heard the TICO term, which in essence is becoming JPEG XS. We are looking at other 12G SDI streams. People are asking us about 2110 support. So all this is in our roadmap moving forward. If there's any other features and functions, questions you have, again, please feel free to post that in the chat box and we'll get back to you. We are also looking at for customers, we have many customers that may not want the IT support, the Ethernet support. We have a lot of customers in the telco world that are always looking to send IP traffic or IT 1 gig Ethernet for file sharing and such. But of course, there are applications where other IT traffic may not be needed. So we're looking at a video only card. So it would be also, as you can see now, one slot, so you get more density in our chassis. Nothing else would change except the trunk ports moving down to the base card, as you can see there. You'll still have the options for uncompressed 2022, J2K, all of the same functionality from unicast, multicast, IGMP, 2022-7. That all stays the same. Any other questions I can answer before we kind of get into some screenshots and application drawings that I have? And again, I appreciate everybody's time. All right, I will move on. So I have some screenshots. This is our DL/IL manager. And as you can see from the heading of each page coming up, kind of giving everybody a screenshot to show how simple and intuitive it is. This is really how to select the personality. Right now we're offering SMPTE 2022 and JPEG. I don't know if my mouse is viewable there, but kind of scrolling down there, you can see you can select very simply the personality of the module, and it's independently selectable on each card. As you can see, this card that we had in our lab is set up as a decoder. So each card, you don't buy the card as a decoder, encoder, transmitter, receiver. It's a single card, and then you select the personality, even whether it's 2022 uncompressed, J2K, whether you want it to be I'll call it the transmitter if it's uncompressed, or the encoder if it's compressed. All that is done. So which makes it better overall, because if you have deployments where it is multicast and you want basically one encoder, multiple decoders, and if it's an odd number, you don't have to buy this by pair or be concerned about buying it as encode licenses, decode licenses. We don't do it that way. And then the module status. This gives you a nice view, again, to let you know you're in this case, the operational mode is a decoder. It shows you the primary and secondary IP addresses. We do have alarming functions. In this case, there are no major or minor alarms. And as I mentioned before, the different video channels, they are all independent. We actually give you the look, channel A, B, C, and D. And you can see here in our demo chassis in our lab up in Westford, channel A is locked. It tells you the exact format, 1920 by 1080i at 5994. There is no forward error correction here. You can see the audio groups, and are we doing the seamless protection? In this case, no, for the 2022-7. So we give you a lot of information here and allow you to configure everything independently. This is our diagnostics page as well, where you get additional information from the temperature of the different modules. Gives you some information on our fans as well that they're running. Gives you the FPGA code and the versions, I should say, we have. And it tells you the trunk port and Ethernet port statuses. So in this case, you could see we have an optical SFP plus in trunk A. It tells you the wavelength and the transmit and receive power for this. We recommend to purchase our SFPs because our software is designed to record and recognize our SFPs. If other SFPs are put in and used, they may not give you this recording and the power capabilities and such as well. We also have copper SFPs if you're very close to other parts of the network where you don't need optical. We have copper SFPs as well, and right now I didn't put any SFPs in our regular IP ports in this case. As far as configuration here for 2022-7 hitless switching, in this module status, you can see the operational mode here. In this case, I have my encoder. The stats in the encode side is where you would set if you want the hitless switching. So this is where you enable the -7. You also have the ability to enable or disable any video alarms, and the MAC address, you can make it static or, again, if you're using IGMP, and here you could see if it is using the hitless switching where you would set your primary IP, your secondary IP, all that information is configured right there. As you can see, this question mark next to module status, on our devices, if you click that, that gives you all the information explaining all the different functionality within that page. So while we do have some simple configuration guides and some level of manuals, the real detail is built within the GUI as well by hitting those question marks. I mentioned our J2K and the compression rates and also configuring the different bandwidth. So here, as you can see, you have the ability to choose whether you want SDHD or 3G, and then it's a simple pull-down menu that tells you what bandwidth configuration or compression level of compression that you want. Again, if you want audio to be embedded, you can enable that and choose the PID that you want to go along with it as well. So again, a lot of information in here. It's very straightforward. When we deploy our smart products, we do usually recommend some training to be purchased. We also have what we call RTEL Care that could extend the warranty and offer additional training as well. So our trunk and Ethernet port, our top board I was talking about, enabling, disabling alarms and configuring the port speeds. Like right now, you can see on the top two lines here are trunk ports where you can select whether it's a 10 gig or 1 gig trunk port and whether you want to even have them enabled or disabled. Right now, our user data ports are fixed at 1 gig, but again, you can disable them to make sure you're not using any extra bandwidth that you may need on your trunk ports. So again, once you know the different menus, as you can see, it's intuitive. You could set up, again, additional switch flows, we call it, the traffic profiles. There's quite a bit of information that we give you, really almost like, since it has the layer 2-3 switch, it really is like configuring a switch. And again, some of the statistics, really more than some, a lot of statistics that we give you for the different trunk ports, the video ports, the data ports, whether you're receiving good packets, whether you're transmitting good packets. So it gives you all the statistics you need. So this will tell you if the traffic is being passed through our device. And you get these statistics from the encode and decode side. And now just to discuss a few different applications that we've done. I believe we have some of our customers from CableNet on the phone, and thank you for your support, gentlemen. We have deployed in the country of Cyprus through CableNet. They're connecting multiple soccer stadiums. We've actually just written up, or Raphael's just released a nice user story about this as well on our website. This is an interesting combination and blend of really all of our product lines, from our FiberLink product line, that our throwdown boxes to get the SDI from a stadium, excuse me, into one of their local POPs or head ends. And then we use our InfinityLink product and some of our CWDM technology mixed with independent CWDM technology that CableNet already has to get back into the main head end in Nicosia. As you can see here, we use one of our larger chassis to get all of that, the different signal formats. Over to the far right is where our Smart is deployed, because it was a very long transport link. I know it's kind of small here, but 78 kilometers, 91 kilometers in some areas to get back to the head end, where we're using our Smart, and they have in Limassol some other repeater, an IP repeater there as well. And this is really a nice way to kind of show more kind of hybrid implementations. They may not be using hitless switching right now, again, but that is an option to be deployed. You're not paying any other license fees to add hitless switching. So this is a nice deployment to show more of a hybrid implementation. We also have, excuse me, we work with a few major sports networks, as I was talking earlier about. And here's one in the US that was looking to deploy UHD, so multiple 3Gs going across their network. And again, they're using a mix of some of our IP products, some of our dark fiber products to get from their different stadiums back into their control room. You know, they have in yellow here is our Smart. They have some of our separate IP aggregation products as well. Some of our TDM fiber transport products, as well as our DLO CO5 is one of the unique products, as I mentioned, that allows you to ingest multiple up to 5 HDs, bring it into the chassis, and then you could switch through the backplane into either our Smart or other video transport cards. We actually have this for traditional copper-only inputs and outputs, and our 105, as you can see with the SFPs, we could do that optically as well. So this adds, and then we end up muxing this together to get this over. We have an 18-channel CWDM module to get all the signals that you're seeing in these different environments really over one or two fibers. Sometimes we do have optical switches if people want to have a primary and backup path as well, where you're not using hitless switching. And then here's a good where we're talking about interop, and this is a partner we have in CalRec, where we're showing one of their remote production products, their CalRec RP remote production product, where they're taking different audio signals. We're using our Quara PTP switch, and they have their Grandmaster hooked up to GPS, and this is being deployed over a WAN, so they're actually using our Smart modules in this case to go long distances over a WAN remotely from a studio, where we again use our Quara to synchronize the audio for the PTP, and our Smart is used for that deployment. So really the Smart is using the IP ports for the audio, the AS67, and the video, of course, is going through the traditional SDI BNC feeds as well. So all that is encapsulated within the single trunk here for this remote application. And I want to, again, thank you for your time during this presentation on our Smart.